Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Saturday morning, so you know it's time for another live edition of the Extra Point. Pure Culture in the house. Tasha T. Sizzle in the house. How goes it this morning? Beautiful.
It goes. It goes.
Okay, well, we're going to keep it at going. There's a lot of sports going. We're going to talk some NFL today. We're
Oh, you?
going
Oh, I
to.
thought you was gonna drop my business, but that's okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead. Shoot your shot. Do what you do.
Mm. No, you said, "Oh, wait till the people find out about this." I thought you was gonna say something smart, but okay, we can move along.
Oh no, oh, that business. No, 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 no. That we're gonna say we're gonna keep that in the pre-roll unless you do something to provoke me. So you have been warned. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a ton of NFL topics to discuss today, some NBA news, and make sure you stick around to the last segment of the show. We have a special fair or foul segment where Tasha T. Sizzle will sound off on a relationship themed topic. So make sure you stick around for that. But today, the NFL takes center stage. The NFL Combine resumes today in Indianapolis, where quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs take the field. One of the more exciting days of the Combine, especially when those 40 times start flooding social media. Now, there are four top prospects in this year's draft. We have the quarterbacks, Shador Sanders and Cam Ward. We also have two-way star Travis Hunter, and we also have defensive end extraordinaire Abdul Carter. Now, neither one of these four players will participate in individual drills this week, but they all spoke to the media and held press conferences. And Tasha, I have to admit, I was very impressed with all four candidates. All four of them made compelling cases to be the number one overall pick in the draft, which as a Titans fan, I am totally invested in. But Tasha, let's start with this. Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter all made claims to be the best player in the draft. Which player do you believe?
To be honest, you got to go with the do-it-all, which is Travis Hunter. But if you're going off of who actually has the top pick, which is the Titans, which they can use anything, but their number one thing that everyone is griping about is a quarterback.
Right.
So that would put Cam at number one. But if you talk about overall dominance, it's Abdul Carter. So it's really kind of hard to answer that depending on what team needs what.
That is a great response, and you're coming down my road on all of them. Okay. So I think there's a difference with in the NFL between best player and team need. Um, I agree with you. I believe that pound for pound, Travis Hunter is the best overall player coming out of the draft. But if I had to rank those four players, he ranks fourth on what the Titans actually need
Right.
to win right away. Now, last October, you started singing the praises of one Abdul Carter from Penn State. And I have to admit, I wasn't on board with him at first. I was Team Shador, Team Shador. Then I started watching tape, and I was blown away by his press conference and how he handled things. Tasha, I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards Abdul Carter, number one overall, and here's why. Let's go back to 2021. Trevor Lawrence was the undisputed, unquestioned number one overall pick in the draft, generational talent. But if we were to go back today, knowing what we know now, and redraft that class, who would have a problem with Jacksonville taking Micah Parsons?
Nobody.
Nobody. You look at the next year, Aiden Hutchinson going number two to Detroit, and how he helped change the culture and the dynamic of that defense there. Tasha, we grew up in Nashville. You were in Nashville at the time when the Tennessee Titans picked Javon Curse with their first round pick. He was more impactful than Steve McNair, Eddie George, Kevin Dyson. he, he
It
was
was.
he was so Tasha, you're starting to sell me on trade back and take Abdul Carter. Now, with it being a four-man race for the number one pick, do you think that's good or bad for the Titans? That there's no clear number one?
I think it's bad for the Titans because simply I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Now look,
And when
I
you
just
have,
warned you. Oh, wait a minute. I just warned you that if you start, I'm gonna tell everybody why we were 2 minutes late. Go ahead.
I mean, they don't know what the hell they're doing. So when you have a team who has no clear path as to what they want to do or what they actually need to do, having 4 players is dangerous.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because my next question was, is this a bad year for the Titans to own the number 1 pick?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you drafted Will Levis, you drafted, what's the other quarterback? Malik Willis, and then now you're having the possibility of having to draft another quarterback because Mason Rudolph is not going to get it done.
Oh, absolutely not.
Y'all don't like Will Levis. You can always use some help on the defense, but the Titans defense is really not the Achilles heel of that team.
Right.
You can get somebody like a Travis Hunter. Again, I could see him more as a cornerback than a wide receiver simply because of his size, his height.
Right.
That's defense. You don't need that. You need line and you need a quarterback.
In that order. Before you get a quarterback, you really need to show up that right tackle position, which was
and you're not going to draft. Who's the highest rated right tackle? You're not going to take a right tackle as the first overall pick. This ain't Orlando Pace we talking about here.
Right. And it's not Travis Frederick either for the Cowboys, like where you're going to have a perennial all-pro. The thing that worries me about the Titans needing a quarterback in this draft is that I don't see Shedeur, as much as I love his father and that name, I don't see him or Cam Ward as a generational talent like a Jaden Daniels that can pull a team out of the doldrums himself.
Now, I was watching Bomani Jones, and he had a good point. I had to actually rewind it. He said there's a difference between a franchise quarterback and a starting quarterback. And I don't know if either one of these, like I'm with you. Y'all know I'm always #ABOB. I'm always going to root for the black kids, especially a black quarterback. But we don't really know if these are franchise quarterbacks as opposed to just being starting quarterbacks.
And when you're 3 and 13 or 4 and 13 that the Titans were last year, a starting quarterback, they had that last year in Mason Rudolph, and it had disastrous results. Good morning, Denise. Yeah, Tasha, I'm thinking, and we'll continue to ramp up our draft coverage as we get closer to the actual draft. But I'm starting to be Team Abdul Carter. If you pair him next to Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat, who was a second-round steal, and we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. Yes, to your point that you've eloquently made in the past, everything is a quarterback award now. So, the quarterback got the MVP, but that defensive line for the Eagles were the real stars of that show. Mm-hmm. And you can have a generational talent like Patrick Mahomes, but if you don't have time to throw, what difference does it make? It's just a bad spot to be in if you're the Tennessee Titans this year, because to your point, defense is not the most pressing need, but those quarterbacks just don't. They don't have my socks flying off my feet.
It's almost like that both of them can play. Both of them are good quarterbacks. But when you look at them, do you really see this is somebody that we're going to have in our franchise for 10 years?
It's hard to say now. Earlier, you said if it comes to quarterback, you would take Cam over Shedeur. So that's where you said that Cam Ward would be the better option for the Titans.
Yeah, because he's going to be out there running for his life. And Cam is more athletic than Shedeur. He has a little more speed. He's a little bit more athletic.
I think this is now, before y'all jump on me for saying this, I'm just using this as a baseline comparison. I think Cam and Shedeur is the prototypical comparison with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Cam is the better talent. Arm, making all the throws, throwing across the middle, throwing up the seam. Like you said, moving his feet. He's a lot more athletic than Shedeur Sanders. But Shedeur has that je ne sais quoi, that little that dog in him that could be a culture changer for a team that has been moribund since the Steve McNair era, which is way too long to be garbage at one position in the NFL.
Yeah. Oh God, his name just slipped my mind. His wide receiver, when they were asking him about Jimmy Horn, when they were asking Jimmy Horn about Shedeur, he said, at the end of the games, even on the sidelines, how Shedeur was just calm.
Right.
Like you didn't see him panicking, even if they, were going to lose or something. That's the first thing he said. He said Shedeur remains calm.
Right. He does. And I think there was a game earlier this year where he had back-to-back Hail Marys with the game on the line. where one was called back because of a penalty, and he turned around and did it again and sent the game into overtime.
Okay, it's just the fact that Marcus Stone just said that, y'all, I gotta adjust it. Y'all see my curtain is raggedy. I gotta adjust this curtain because this little piece of light. Wait a minute, where are we? This little piece of light, little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. It's bothering me.
It's shining.
It's glaring in my glasses. So don't y'all be talking about me. Don't be talking wet about me because my curtain is raggedy.
Speaking of wet, y'all, let me tell y'all why we were late this morning. Now, I am just saying, good morning, Marcus.
This is the piece that goes on the end of the curtain rod. So the curtain, yeah, it's just raggedy.
All right, so I am cautiously optimistic about where the Titans go with the number 1 overall pick. To Tasha's point, there's no real clear-cut number 1, and I don't think that a quarterback will not one of these two quarterbacks will be the type that will come in and have a Jaden Daniels type of impact. And a lot was made about the Commanders taking a bunch of 1-year deals in free agency with veterans that actually panned out, Eckler and some of the defensive pieces. So we'll see how that works. Interesting. The most Tennessee Titans thing that can happen to a Titans fan is having the number 1 overall pick, and there's no Jaden Daniels, there's no Joe Burrow, there's no generational time. Where the hell is Arch? Like the timing.
But again, and they were saying people are gonna try to tank for Arch. We don't even know if Arch is gonna be good. We just see what he putting out there, down there in Austin.
Right. If you can't beat out Quinn Ewers,
Glenn Soul on Sports, that's his team. We don't even know if Arch is any good. Right.
We haven't seen him start in a meaningful game yet. I mean, he's been a package player, but that doesn't equate to a number 1 overall pick. Sticking with the NFL, the league made news when they released on Thursday that they are doing away with the chain game and moving to a virtual measuring system that will determine first downs in 2025. Tasha, do you like that idea?
I mean, it ain't going to speed up the game. They still going to be taking 5 and 6 minutes to see if it was a catch. It don't matter. It's just unnecessary. It's still going to give people. Well, what if the laser's off? What if these people are still going to argue and go back and forth, and it's still going to take up unnecessary time reviewing if it was a first down or not?
There's a part of me, and we're going to get into old school versus new school and nostalgia versus realistic expectations, talking about the NBA here in a few minutes. But I'm of the evolution mindset as an old school. I'm old school. I'm Gen X. I'm proud to be Gen X, but I'm okay with evolution. The one thing that bothers me about this rule change is that 3 to 5 second suspense when they pulling that chain and all of the players are staring down at the ball, and then you either see first down or the defense run off the field. I like that human element in football. So I'm not too fired up to see that go. Good morning, Farrah. Farrah, I see you, Billy Blue Jean King. I see Queen.
I know with your Canadian tuxedo. Okay, old Canada.
What the hell is a Canadian tuxedo? What is that? Help me out here. No.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, well,
it's denim on denim. That's called a Canadian tuxedo.
Oh, okay. The George Michael look. Okay, the gotta have faith, the faith.
No, right. He had a black leather jacket and some jeans with a cuff in them in that video. You remember how we used to wear the denim shirts and the denim jeans? Moving along with a hurry.
Denim on denim. Now, continuing with the rule change thing with the NFL, ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles have been champion for less than a month now, about a month that we're rolling to it on this March the 1st, 2025. And they're already starting to see what it's like being on the top. They're already starting to get the Chiefs treatment. Now, let me start by saying this. All of you maniacs out there for the last few years that were screaming and belly aching about the refs aiding the Chiefs and giving them an unfair advantage, helping them to all of their Super Bowl success. Now we're starting to see this happen to the Eagles. Now, after their championship season, we have the Buffalo Bills, we have the Green Bay Packers, among others, who have come out and publicly lobbied for the NFL to ban the tush push. Tasha, are you of that ilk that the tush push must go?
I told you that last year, and I told you this year, that eventually teams are going to start complaining about the tush push. I don't think it's because they won, everybody's coming for them. This has been brewing because I said it year before last, that's what they're going to start doing, is getting rid of that tush push, because they're going to say that it's giving the Eagles some sort of advantage. But like most defensive players say, you got to stop it. Just stop it.
He says, I mean, on a very important note, how are you going to slide with the TP merch? And I haven't received mine in the mail. PL Culture.
Martrice Lane, are you still online, Martrice?
I want to put you in touch with our what do you call them, seamstress?
With our designer.
With our designer. All right. With our designer, Miss Martrice Hastings, we'll get you hooked up with some swag. We're getting out of hoodie season, but she can do hoodies, she can do sleeveless, she can do a lot of stuff. Y'all wait till I get these guns ready with some of these sleeveless hoodies I got cranking up for y'all. And the Tasha, do the toe. No, don't do the toe. Good morning. Good morning, AP Culture. Now, I'm tired of the tush push. All right. First of all, I hate the name. I hate that name. It's ridiculous for a gladiator sport like the NFL having an unstoppable move called a tush push. That's something you say to a child. Get your tush off the no. I hate it for that reason. Secondly, it is an unfair play by nature of the rule. I'm of the ilk that you should not be able to push a player forward if they are behind the line of scrimmage, because the defense isn't allowed to do that either. You can't even line up over the center for extra points and field goals. Go ahead, Tasha.
Because what is it in college? You can pull them, but you can't push them, right?
Right. You can pull, but you cannot push. Now, if you've crossed the line of scrimmage and you're Saquon Barkley or A.J. Brown and you're running for yards and there's a scrum and they push you into the end zone, I have no problem. That's mano-a-mano, and that's past the line of scrimmage. But pushing where the defense can't do it. Do y'all remember the play where Chris Jones, lined up sideways in the Super Bowl? Like they're trying everything now. The man needed a backiotomy after that play. You saw.
I mean, because it's what the center lays down, and then the quarterback goes, and then they just push him over, right? Is that what it is?
Right.
I mean, I just think they came up with a play that if you can't mimic it, don't get mad because they're perfecting it. Like maybe you need to practice the tush push more, or maybe the NFL as a whole needs to just get rid of it and say it's illegal. But I don't see a problem with it. And if I was the running back, if I was Saquon, I would be mad as hell if I'm running the ball all the way down,
right,
and somebody else is getting the quarterbacks, because getting the touchdown, that's money. Just like you have like a 2 running back system. You had a running back, the one that's going to run you down the field, and then you get your enforcer to punch it in. It's like, damn, I got my yards. What about my touchdowns? Right.
The whole Brandon Jacobs, Tiki Barber type deal back in the Super Bowl run era for the Giants. I don't like the play, and I think that if more teams adopted the play, it would have more legs to be banned. But since it's only the Eagles, I think it's a weak case to ban it based solely on that. But it's anticlimactic. For those of you who watch football, when the Eagles get inside the 2-yard line, you might as well get on up and heat up your plate in the microwave, go use the restroom, go get the mail, go run an errand, because you already know that they're going to push Jalen Hurts into the end zone. It's very anticlimactic. I think it's bad optically for the game. I hope they get rid of the rule myself. But to Tasha's point, until they do, you got to stop it. So, Tasha, why don't more teams do it, do you think?
I don't think they can. Or maybe they don't. I mean, they say it's a copycat league. Maybe they don't want to be seen as, okay, we can't stop this, so we're going to start doing it too. I don't know. But maybe they can't perfect it, or maybe they're too embarrassed to say, yeah, we're going to start using this too.
Like a pride type deal. Can't beat them, join them. And joining them is basically signaling the white flag that you can't beat it. There's one team that I wish would shut the hell up about any more rules changes, and that's Buffalo. Head coach Sean McDermott was one of the loudest detractors of the tush push. And I'm like, bro, the people talk about the Chiefs getting help from the refs. Buffalo, this is what, 2-3 times now that there's been a major rule change because you came up short against the Chiefs in the playoffs. Remember a few years ago when they had the lead with 13 seconds left, they let Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce get in the field goal range. go into overtime. They don't score. I mean, the Chiefs come down and score a touchdown and end the game. Now all of a sudden, both teams get a chance to score a touchdown in overtime. All right, that's one.
You know what that is? Deflection.
Come on down my road now. Elaborate.
Deflecting because he's not getting the job done. He's not able to beat these teams, so he's going to come up with things to make you talk about other things.
Sean McDermott, I mean, let's keep it real. You had the better team this year. Kansas City still beat you.
I mean, then he's out there throwing, you had a rookie wide receiver. Y'all know I love Keon Coleman. Ain't going to be no Keon Coleman slander.
No,
he hurt his wrist. He was out a few games, but you out there talking about the kid. That's not what a coach does with a rookie. But you know what? Keon ain't said nothing. He's down there in Houston working on his craft.
We don't have it in the show today about Houston wide receivers, but they may need one this offseason. You might want to keep your eye on the Houston Texans in the wide receiver room because I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be long for the job down there. This will be a 30 for 30 type of fall from grace from him throwing his helmet in the air in Minnesota for the Hail Mary catch against the Saints to where he is now. We're going to digress on that.
Just go with Stephon Diggs. He got a lot of ish going on.
He got a lot of.
Then we have this discussion about how, no, that wasn't you. That's my boy Steve. Shouts out to Steve from Memphis, lives in Arizona. Like, we don't understand why they just don't sit down, why they just don't take their money and go home.
Right. And do you remember the video from his days in Minnesota where one of the beat writers was just kind of clowning around with the teammates in the locker room and said, who's the one player that you would not want your sister to date? And
all of them said Stephon, from the blacks to the whites, Stephon Diggs. That was the answer.
Everybody said Stephon Diggs. The modified QB sneak can stand as is, but they need to revise the QB slide rule.
Yeah, I hate that.
I think they've already revised that, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to slide, now they don't give you where you stop; they give you where the slide started. Now I know Patrick Mahomes made waves where how he will kind of bait teams into thinking that he's going to slide and he doesn't slide, things of that nature. I think that's being crafty. I'm not so sold on that being changed. Marcus Stone, hit him up on IG. Okay, free plug. Hit him up on Martrice. I thought that was good morning, baby cakes. Make sure y'all hit up Stirred Up Gifts and Creation. She has a lot of.
Trish, you ready for tonight?
Ready for tonight. Martrice, why are you sitting here? I want to tell the whole world that your birthday picture that you posted on Tuesday. Talk about ravishing, and we ain't talking about Rick Rude. We talking about stunning. Stunning. Look absolutely beautiful. Good morning, Martrice. I'm glad Martrice is on now because I want to continue a conversation that we started last week when the lovely Farrah from Our Take had joined the show. We're talking about the NBA and the fallout from the All-Star game and how people are really down about the product and the state of the game. I posed a question to Tasha T. Sizzle, and she put on Twitter, what's wrong with the NBA? She said every damn thing is wrong with the NBA. I categorically disagree with her with my whole heart on that. I think the game is in a great place, but this is not a back and forth regarding that. I want to pick up that story because shortly after our show, the next day, Channing Frye, who was a former NBA player, won a championship with the Cavaliers, and now he's an NBA analyst on various networks and a podcast. He came out and said he pushed back on the narrative that the NBA is in a bad place. And it leads me to a bigger overarching question. So to give you a Cliff Notes version of his rant, he basically said that nostalgia is killing the league and I'm using his words, so pardon my French. He said, why would anyone want to be the face of this league when the people who watch and cover the league shit on them on a daily basis? He also went on to say that today's players are being compared to players who played 40 years ago, Michael Jordan, which is totally unfair. So Tasha, we can revisit that part, but for today's discussion, I want to ask you, why is it that it's only the NBA, as far as professional sports leagues, where there's such animus between the players who played, the people who cover the league, and the fans who watch the league? Why do we see it in the NBA and not other leagues?
I mean, you do see that in Major League Baseball. You see it a lot in Major League Baseball because you have those baseball purists that don't want the game to be fun. They don't like how the Latinos come in here flipping bats. They don't like the arrogance. They don't like that because they want it to stay white. That's how they want it. They want it to stay like it was. So I don't just necessarily think it's the NBA. I think with the NBA's case, it's the product they putting out there just ain't good.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
No, you have the same people that we are all clamoring to watch. You're not saying, oh, let me go watch this team. Let me go watch that team. We're in the era now where we're watching a specific player. Like you have people who were Cavaliers fans. When LeBron left to go to Miami, they Miami fans. When LeBron went to LA, now they're Laker fans.
That's me. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the Grizzlies, but I would root for the teams that LeBron were on, to your point.
Right. See, I don't do that. I just root for KD. I don't root for the Suns. I didn't root for Brooklyn. I rooted for OKC when he first got there because I'm a KD fan. But everyone knows I'm a Pistons fan. And we doing good now, baby. We got as many wins already as we had all season last year. Detroit basketball.
Well, Tasha, let's pause right there because that's part of my argument. The Pistons are a great story this year. They are not being talked about. They're talking about why didn't LeBron James play in the All-Star game?
Again, because the league is now player-centric.
Now, where did that start, Tasha T. Sizzle? That started in the 90s with MJ.
No, it didn't, because you had people who were Bulls fans. When Michael retired and went to the Wizards, you didn't have nobody being a Wizards fan. My little brother still wore all of his Chicago Bulls gear. You had people who were Bulls fans. You were fans of Jordan, but you were a Bulls fan.
Where are they now, Tasha? How many Bulls jerseys do you see in the streets?
Oh, I see a lot. Well, you know, I'm down here with the throwback knockoff capital of the world next to China, so I see everything. But, like, I mean, I like Charles Barkley. I wasn't a Phoenix Suns fan when he went to Phoenix. I liked him with the 76ers. You still had teams, the Celtics. You were a Celtics fan, even if you liked Larry Bird. You were a Lakers fan, even if you liked Magic Johnson or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You were a fan of that team. It wasn't so player. See, I disagree with that too.
Right. See, this is where I'm about to lose it. He told me stop hating PL. That it started before MJ. Natasha, if you need to get up and adjust your curtain or a step away for a second, then go ahead, because I got smoke for Marcus. Good morning, Ronald Pitts. No one ever a Wizard fan at first. Exactly. Thank you, Ronald. Now, let me say this to you, Marcus. Let's go back to you saying the NFL does the same thing with the comparisons. I'm going to give you a prime example of how I totally disagree with that. Saquon Barkley had an amazing season, had over 2,000 yards in basically 16 games, didn't even play the 17th game, a phenomenal season. People praised his season. You didn't hear national, and I'm talking about national narratives, the people who cover the game. You did not hear national analysts say, well, Saquon Barkley couldn't have done that against the Steel Curtain in the 70s. Well, Saquon Barkley couldn't have gotten a yard against the 85 Bears defense. Well, Barry Sanders ran for 300 yards on a broke leg. Like, you don't get that comparison. You don't hear national baseball analysts saying Shohei Ohtani couldn't have struck out Barry Bonds.
Because those games like baseball, sports like baseball, you don't change the main rule, which is get up there and swing. You know, you have your preference of the referee. I mean, the umpire calls what he thinks is the strike zone, but they're not saying, oh, we're going to move the strike zone from here to here now. You don't keep changing rules to benefit certain individuals. And in the NBA, I think they do a lot of rule changing. Like, I mean, now, to your point, with the Jordan rules, they did change a lot of things to benefit Jordan, but at the end of the day, Jordan was going to be Jordan, whether they changed those rules or not.
So why can't that apply to LeBron James? People say, well, LeBron. No. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying from a national narrative.
It's not going to ever apply to LeBron James because he's not Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and people see LeBron James as being soft. No, they see him as being soft because they see him doing a lot of complaining. Which, when have you not seen an NBA player, even back in the day, if a foul was called or something, they will complain. But this new era, not just LeBron, this new era of player stays talking to the refs more than anybody. Soul on Sports, Jarrell Glenn, he just posted something on Instagram talking about Patrick Beverley. Remember when he went and got the camera to show the ref? Like, come on. That's too many theatrics. Now, but then again, Patrick Beverley is somebody that knock your teeth out on the court. People don't see Patrick Beverley as being soft. They just see him being a lunatic. But today's NBA player, people view them as being softer than players in the past.
Now, okay, so let's tackle that elephant in the room as far as being soft. First of all, Michael Jordan lobbied to the NBA to have the rules changed when the Detroit Pistons was whopping him upside his head. That was a self-imposed rule change, and to grow the league, to transition it out of the golden era of Lakers versus Celtics, it moved away from team sports at that point and went into star-driven league as Michael Jordan as the face.
But you still had players outside of Michael Jordan who were going to go out there and they was going to ball. I didn't back in the day. No, I'm not. Come on, Paul. Look at the players.
I'm saying. No,
look at the players. Look at the players in the 90s. It's not one player in the 90s that I don't think would knock somebody's, put their elbow up under somebody's chin and rearrange their jawline. Today, you don't see that. I think it's the violence for me. I'm just going to go out there and say it. I like the more physical style of NBA game. I don't like this finesse. I don't like this all behind the 3-point. Everybody wants to take a 3-pointer. You got 7'2" dudes out here don't want to play center. They want to be a forward. I don't like this era of the NBA.
So do you So you would rather watch 76-68 in the NBA Finals?
Yep.
That is why. But you know who doesn't want to watch that? The networks. That's why the league had moved away from that physical style of brand of basketball, because it was unwatchable.
That wasn't unwatchable. Like I said, I love to see the Detroit Pistons whipping up on somebody. I love to see the Boston Celtics in the 80s fighting.
How much skill does it take to bow somebody in the chin that's going up for a layup?
I just liked it. I just liked it because you know what it did? It put a little bit of fear in their chest. It'd be like, come back through here if you want to. That's why everybody's shooting from the 3-point, because they scared of the contact.
I think they're shooting from the 3-point line because they're better shooters.
No.
If Jordan could shoot threes at the clip of Steph Curry, he would have.
But Jordan didn't need to. It's easy to convert from being someone that plays inside the 3-point and around the goal to outside, because that's what most older players do. Like Vince Carter, when he couldn't jump anymore, Vince Carter moved his game out. It's easier to move your game out.
I think it's harder because if it was easier, then the players in the 90s would have done that same adjustment.
It's harder to go to the hole. It's harder.
Look, the rule of the 90s were the unskilled linebacker-built big men were sent there to hurt the star players.
That I loved.
That was like the shooting was atrocious in the 90s. Let's just keep it real. Like I think that, and this goes to my overarching point, that it's the Jordan fans that are really driving this narrative of the NBA being soft and weak, because it's to discredit LeBron James's accomplishment.
No, you always take it personal. It ain't got nothing to do with Jordan.
No. I think Jordan fans take it personal.
No, how many people out here calling KD soft? They stay calling KD soft. KD ain't soft, and I didn't say LeBron was soft. What my argument with LeBron is, LeBron will defer more than he will take. That's my only argument with LeBron. I never said LeBron James was soft.
to say
But
the
the
era
overall
itself
style of play, when you got a cat, a Carl Anthony Towns, not being a big man, when you got a street clothes, not being a big man, like that just
no.
bothers
Anthony
me.
Davis is a traditional big. He doesn't camp out in the 3-point line. He gets injured a lot, but he's a traditional power forward / center.
But he doesn't want to be a big man. You are a big man, dude. If you over 6'10" and 240 pounds, you big man. Now if you 6'10" and you skinny like KD, you're a forward.
Okay, so Marcus Stone says it wasn't unwatchable. It wasn't generating enough money. And if these networks are going to pay billions of dollars for a product, they want the product to be watchable. That's part of this as well. Now, Jarrell Glenn says Clippers went 8 from 36 from 3 last night. That's terrible basketball. Let me juxtapose that. On Tuesday night, there was a game between the Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies. Let me give you some stats. It was 151 to 148 overtime win by Memphis. Memphis had 3 players scored 25 points or more on 50% shooting. KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal all had over 25 points. There was not an abundance of fouls. It wasn't a hack fest. It wasn't a back the ball down. There were high leverage shots. There were 22 ties and 23 lead changes. Fluid basketball where skilled players were getting buckets. But this is the narrative. Clippers went 8 from 36 from 3, but nobody talks about the game.
Because everybody is doing it. No, people are scared to go in the hole.
Everybody was right.
See, Jarrell, see what you got me doing? You done rubbed off on me, Jarrell. People don't want to go down the middle anymore. They are scared to go down the middle. It is making the game boring. I don't want to sit there and just see people just throwing the ball from the 3-point line. I want to see somebody go drive down. I want to see a layup. I want to see a dunk. I want to see somebody get knocked the F out.
Now, Marcus says this. He says, man, these dudes injured more in this era with less contact in the box. I can only imagine their durability during the Bad Boys Pistons era. I'm glad you brought that up, Marcus, because what was the average retirement age in the late 80s, early 90s? 31, 32, 33 years old. You're not even getting your stars long enough. This whole tough man mentality is the reason why Penny Hardaway's career was cut short. Feeling the pressure to play on back-to-backs on a bad knee. Like, he should have had a 20-year career. Like, the careers were much shorter than.
But his knees were bad. That ain't got nothing to do with the style of play. He had bad knees, just like Derrick Rose. He got bad knees.
See, Jarrell said he stayed ready. Now, and Jarrell also said that's rare. But wait a minute, that's where he's talking about. That's where the Memphis and no, I think that's not rare. I think that's something that you see at a high level. Look at some of these stars in today's
game. But who wants to keep seeing? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a 125-point game.
And nobody wants to see a 65-point game either. There has to be a balance. Like I said, terrible shooting.
I want it to be 70s to 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I don't want to see a 125-point game because that means ain't nobody went to the hole. And I don't want to see that.
So you rather see a league where you throw the ball into a big man, they take 20 seconds out of a 24-second clock back and down.
I'd rather see a point guard take that ball, a shooting guard take that ball, do a layup. I want to see somebody get knocked down. I want to see
Morant, like Kyrie Irving.
I love them. They're like the
Luka.
Exception. But they are the exception.
So was Jordan. Jordan was the exception of his era, but everything is based on Jordan's performance from the 90s, is what I'm saying. Everybody was Jordan.
And y'all don't want you LeBron people don't want to accept that. And y'all know I'm not a Jordan fan because I'm a Pistons fan. I hated him. But
Michael Jordan was the GOAT until LeBron
passed. The world evolves and revolves around Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Why can't y'all evolve? Why y'all so bitter? Why y'all MJ fans so bitter and can't evolve?
MJ fans? Anybody in the chat? Y'all gonna answer that?
They know who I'm talking to. All the MJ, like y'all can't evolve. Like let it go.
And
like,
y'all LeBron fans can't let it go.
But wait a minute, it's not let it go if it's present day. We're talking about what's going on today, not 30 years ago.
Let the fact go that y'all Kang ain't the GOAT.
Now, Farrah says, I don't want to see a game where each position is played the max. Now, Farrah, we used to work together. And I dare say that I wanted everybody that was working there to get the max. Why should it be any different for NBA players? Look, why are we pocket watching, Farrah? Let's not pocket watch. Let's see. The game definitely needs a balance. Otherwise, get rid of everyone over 6'6". But Marcus is agreeing with me there. There has to be balance. You
It
can't.
has to be a
It
balance,
can't
like
be
in the force.
65 to 60. And the 90s era players, like y'all, we had our run. The players today are just better overall. Michael Jordan was one of one. He is. I have no problem with anybody calling him the greatest of all time. But to suggest that the 90s basketball players were on equal footing with Jordan is just not the case. There was Michael Jordan.
Nobody was going to ever be Jordan. The closest to him in the 90s era was a Magic Johnson. And then, we all know his career was cut short in 92, 91, and he came back in 92. But you didn't have any players who were out of this world like Michael Jordan in the 90s.
And you have a plethora of those players today, but they're not celebrated.
I don't think so.
So why? Okay, so another question. And I'm just really trying to talk through this because I really don't understand. Why, when we use 90s era basketball, the only comp that everybody's compared to is Jordan. Nobody says Patrick Ewing. Nobody says Reggie Miller. Nobody says Sean Kemp. Nobody says Gary Payton. Nobody says Clyde Drexler. Nobody says Isaiah Thomas. Nobody says any of those other players.
That's a lie. Because when I thought when Fat Ass first came out, the first thing I told you, Sean Kemp. So don't sit up there and lie and say ain't nobody compare somebody to everybody else.
You're speaking from personal experience. I'm speaking from national narrative.
Jordan was the standard. You have to think about it. Every time somebody came out, they said the next Jordan, the next Jordan. Then as Kobe started to elevate and evolve, it was the next Kobe, the next Kobe.
Could quitting the league twice in your prime be considered soft?
No.
If LeBron quit the league twice in today's era, would 90s fans call him soft?
Oh yeah, they would call him soft. But see, they would say Jordan. They would say, because you think the first time Jordan retired, we don't know what was going on, even though we say he has, the mental stability of some of the gods. Losing your father, I lost my father. We weren't that close, but I still lost my father. You don't know what effect that had on him. And the reason he gave was going to play baseball or whatever, because his father always liked baseball. So we don't know what was going on there.
LeBron's mama was sleeping with a teammate and he still dropped 50.
I'm going to log out. Allegedly.
Shouts out to Gloria. Now, Marcus made some good points here, but he says really basically that a lot of the commentators and former players have their own platforms and won't get national attention. The main media is about dollars and not facts. That's my point exactly.
But that's what I said. Media. I said because they keep shoving the same players down our throat. That's what I said.
Okay, hold on. I want to catch up with some of these. He says, so how do you applaud LeBron for being physical with the floor freedom that the game is played today? If a player blows his breath on LeBron, it's a foul. That's just today's game. And let me take this because I want to get everybody into this conversation. So Jarrell Shamika, I'm coming down your road here in just a second. The NFL, one could argue, and I'm not saying this definitively, but one could argue that the NFL has done way more to legislate physicality from their game than the NBA ever has. Like with CTE, concussion protocol, people talk about load management. Back in the 70s, like concussions shortened the careers of two Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Steve Young and Troy Aikman because they were trolling their asses back out there with scrambled eggs. Like when you know better, you do better.
You gonna get up off Steve Young.
Cornelius Williams gave him a dirty hit and ended his career. Steve Young on Monday Night Football. That was a dirty hit. And we were robbed of maybe 5 or 6 more years of a generational talent and a Hall of Fame player because we want to see the ooh and ah like physicality. No, the NFL said, look, we're getting sued. CTE is real. These players are dying from these head injuries. We got to make this game better. Don't you want your players to play longer? Do you really want to see Victor Wembanyama get his legs cut out from under him and he missed a whole year just so we can say that some backup forward on the
I'm not saying I just like a more physical style of play. Being able just to go out and stand on the 3-point line and just shoot, that's not basketball to me. Hell, we can do that.
Now, right, to your point, right. Now, he said social media also had a hand in ruining today's game. We know too much about these players.
Because
go ahead.
Everyone kept saying Anthony Edwards, and I said this last year too. I said he has too much off the court drama to be the face of the NBA, and it is coming to fruition now with the tweets and the text messages when he was telling the young lady that she shouldn't have that baby. Okay. We know entirely too much about these players. When that personal stuff gets in there, that makes Madison Avenue turn the other cheek. You're not. That's why Ja can't be the face of the NBA, because he wanted to be Yosemite Sam.
He never fired a gun, by the way. He just flashed it.
But still, it's just the fact that he had guns and he was associated with weapons. Now they're not going to come out and say that, but we all see that. And what did I just sent you a photo? I said it's the one Jason Tatum fan, and he was down here in the Dominican Republic. Jason Tatum is the only one with a clean slate, but we don't know nothing about him socially, and he's boring. We do know he has a baby by Ellie Ma, but other than that, we don't know anything about him. You can't have a boring person be the face of the league.
But the thing, so then what do? If social media is ruining today's game because we know too much about them, but you don't want to face the league of somebody who chooses to be private and away from social media, then you can't have it both ways. Like, to me, it's just,
you can't have the face of the league. You just need to let the logo. Y'all put Jerry West up there.
There are plenty of worthy candidates to be the face of the league. If the old heads relax.
Stop. Farrah log out.
She was a cougar. Hey, look, the Farrah. Tasha will tell you about my cougar. Ain't nothing wrong with a cougar.
I mean, I do
think for an 80-year-old right now.
Back to Jarrell's point, I think that girl, and the girl that he currently has a child with, the fact that he lost his mother, he was looking for a mother figure. I really believe that, and he fell prey to those. He fell prey to those women because he was searching for something, and I truly believe that. Or it could have just been that sunshine was just too good and he couldn't turn it down. But
you didn't put your mom on the phone.
Look, I ain't never coming home no more.
Stiana says America likes guns. Ja will rebound from that. I think that's already a distant memory. But to go back to your point about Anthony Edwards and the women who put him on blast on social media, that you can't call this aerosol for having to deal with that. We heard rumblings about Michael Jordan being in those Chicago clubs and having a stable in every city that he went to. Can you imagine if those women had social media to put him on blast? Like what I'm saying is comparing the eras is just.
There was never any proof that Jordan did anything. Only now we knew about who was that got the VD. That played baseball. What is his name? Played for the Yankees and allegedly gave VD to.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but
it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't even think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
So basically, Steve Kerr threw his face into Michael Jordan's fist. That wasn't Michael Jordan's fault.
But when did we find out about that?
Well, they wrote a book about it, and the guy who wrote the book was banned from covering the NBA after that.
But when did we find you? Who read? Who read?
Oh, now I read. Now I was a reader. Now Shamika's kicking in.
The overall scheme of it. Who's going to pick up that book and say, "Oh, let me read and see what happened in the locker room with Michael Jordan"? We found out more about what MJ did on the Netflix show.
Oh, when LeBron was ascending to GOAT status, so he put out that COVID think piece, not crediting anybody for those championship runs but himself, and discrediting all of his opponents.
But when did we find out about it?
Right, but back to my point, the biggest indictment on 90s basketball was The Last Dance, because Michael Jordan shitted on all of his opponents and said they were not worthy to be on his level. So how can you put a whole generation of players down and that be the greatest era of basketball?
Show me my opponent.
Now, Shamika says she just had a conversation with somebody about social media aspect of Morant and where he is now as opposed to where he could have been.
Yeah.
Well, John Morant needs to win in the playoffs to reclaim that. I think he has the cachet. I think he has the generational following. He has an AI-like cult following amongst the kids.
But you know what? You still, it's not, because like Stiana said, America likes guns only when it benefits them. You have this young black kid with locks playing with guns in the club, in the car with his friends. They'll never make him. He can win the next 3 championships and he'll never be the face of the league. because he's already been labeled. We
No,
talk about
he will
that.
never. No, he will never be the face of the league because the '90s Gen Xers and millennials will be like Jordan.
Because
Y'all
when we
let
were
that
talking
go.
about when we were having a discussion when it was just him and Luka, didn't you and I both say John Morant? What happened? He went all Yosemite Sam on us after that.
Yosemite fired the weapon. He didn't. He just flashed it. It was just a little peep show.
It doesn't matter. It's the perception. He's already been labeled. So the NBA will never make him the face of the league, no matter what he does.
No. The '90s generation will never crown a new face of the league because LeBron should have been that, but they won't do that because they got the ghost of Michael Jordan sitting up there.
But to a certain extent, LeBron was the face of the league, but then you had pretty boy, light-skinned parquet Steph Curry coming in and started winning championships, so it took some of that shine off.
Which proves my point that as a collective, today's NBA is in a better place than in the '90s. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man show. There was one player.
Last time I watched the NBA game.
Well, I mean that's you, but they just signed a $76 billion television deal, and these companies aren't in the business to lose money. So somebody's watching the NBA.
But you don't have Michael Jordan is a generational talent, and we will never see Michael Jordan again or the like.
And the thing is, why should we want to? Let that be in the '90s.
You can duplicate or come closer to a LeBron. You can duplicate or come closer to a Steph because Klay Thompson and Steph. Yeah, until
those players
are easy to replicate. Just like Anthony Edwards saying KD was his favorite player. You'll never be able to clone or replicate KD.
Jesus Christ himself can descend from a cloud and throw on some tennis shoes and get out there and ball, and y'all gonna say, man, Jordan would have crossed up Jesus. It's not about the player.
Michael Jordan, because y'all don't want to accept the fact that Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
Can I give you I'm talking to old heads. Like, who cares? That's 40 years ago. Like
you new school people seem to care because y'all seem to be so bothered because it's not LeBron. And then not to mention you have people that are putting Kobe ahead of LeBron. LeBron is not even on the list of the beloved Lakers.
Like putting Kobe above LeBron is what an MJ fan does because he emulated Michael Jordan and he wasn't a threat.
I mean,
I
wasn't a Kobe fan, so
now look, this is proving my point. Stop hating on MJ, but MJ fans never hate on LeBron or today's players. It's fact if it's MJ, but it's hating if it's MJ slander. That's part of the problem. That's what Channing Frye was talking about. Nostalgia is killing the game. Like Muhammad Ali was considered the greatest. Did they bring up Muhammad Ali every time Mike Tyson stepped in the ring in the 90s?
They were two different style of fighters, so no, you wouldn't.
Michael Jordan and LeBron are two different style of players. This is LeBron's era.
Look, this is what I always tell people. The difference why I always and will forever put Jordan on top of LeBron in any discussion. At the end, and don't be bringing up, in the finals, didn't he give that to Steve Kerr? It doesn't matter. Anytime I want somebody to take that last shot, I'm giving it to Jordan. LeBron,
I would not about a player that retired 30 years ago.
I would give it to Michael Jordan now over LeBron because LeBron will probably
that sound crazy. Now Timothy shouts out. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. He said globally the game is in a better place, but the American-born players are losing credibility.
Yes, that has a lot to do with it too. That's a very good point.
But this is the reason why they're losing credibility because yesterday's fan can't get out of yesterday. They can't just accept today's NBA for what it is. Everything, y'all are still talking about Michael Jordan after
because he's the greatest basketball player ever.
So what? Like, who's the greatest running back of all time?
But I don't think that the greatest one, I'm going to always say Sweetness.
Do we bring up Sweetness nationally every time a running back has a 100-yard game?
No, because
I never hear you talk about Sweetness in regards to today's football.
I mean, they always bring. Well, you think about it too. Sweetness was in the mid '80s. They tend to bring up Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, unless you're Barry Sanders' dad and you keep bringing up Jim Brown.
Right, but even Jim Brown, the Boomers have let that go. They are letting today's kids love Saquon and Derrick Henry. Like my mama's generation, they understood the assignment. They were like, look, I think the rap is trash. I'm not with that, but I'm gonna let y'all have that. I got my
I mean,
stuff.
but if
Y'all
if
can't
you're
even just
talking
let the
about,
kids have it.
but today's era, my favorite current running back is Derrick Henry, and he
Right,
has
but
a
I'm
totally
but I'm
different
saying
style from Swiftness.
he's not constantly compared to Earl Campbell, where there's 60-year-old people coming into the chat
But
and
they have a
attacking
similar
kids.
style. Earl Campbell had a short career
And why is that? Because of the physicality of the game, which they're
that
legislating
I
out
like.
of it. So, right. PL, you mad at the mainstream media? No, exactly. No, I'm not mad at the mainstream media because I'm going to watch the NBA regardless. Channing Frye was mad at the mainstream media. I'm just giving you all a synopsis of what he said, but I agree with his premise. And I'm looking in these comments and I'm seeing old heads arguing with Gen Z kids about MJ. You know what one of the people replied to in that comment? He said, nobody gives a F today. These kids don't give a F about no Michael Jordan. They don't care.
And you got a lot of people our age who I mean new school kids who don't give a damn about LeBron. You kids are Steph Curry fans. You have, like you said, in the 90s, you was just a Jordan fan. Today you have a plethora of stars that you can choose from. That's y'all LeBron James stands issue. Y'all mad majority of the time because people won't acknowledge LeBron as the GOAT. We done already said the boy was the king.
No, let me reiterate something that I had just said earlier. And Shamika's calling me delusional when in fact I'm just okay with evolving.
You just a LeBron fan.
No, I'm an NBA fan. I'm a Ja Morant fan. I'm a Luka Doncic fan. I'm a Giannis Antetokounmpo fan. I'm a Victor Wembanyama fan.
No,
I am a Nikola Jokic fan. I'm a fan of today's game because today's game is a better product.
I'm a fan of today's players, but not today's.
I'm not sitting there bringing up Steve McNair every Sunday when Will Levis was playing. I'm living in today's time. Like
that ain't no comparison anyway.
It's just wild. But the kids, the Gen Z kids, I had a conversation with some Gen Z sports fans this week. And she called me delusional. Shamika did. And she says people were talking about Julius Erving when Michael came and broke the records. That's okay. But when Michael Jordan came on the scene, nobody was talking about Julius Erving anymore. We were living in the current times, and our aunts and uncles wasn't shoving bills down our
points because Michael Jordan is one of those what am I trying to say? Those talents that transcend time.
Why are y'all so fixated on Michael Jordan?
Because he's the GOAT. And again,
but why are y'all mad at today's fans? Why are y'all mad at Gen Z fans for not acknowledging him as that?
Nobody's mad at the Gen Z.
I think y'all are mad.
Y'all just sensitive because nobody will say LeBron is the GOAT, and you have people out here putting Kobe over LeBron, and you have people that are rooting.
Right, those are all people over 40, by the way. All these are people over 40. We all know that rap, sports, pop culture is a young man's game. We had our run. We had our run as the people who drove pop culture, and Michael Jordan was a part of that.
I'm listening to Boss Man D-Lo. What you talking about?
Right, I'm saying, but we had our run. Today's kids don't care about no Michael Jordan. They're not even saying Michael Jordan is not the GOAT. They didn't even watch him. But so let me go back. There was a conversation I had with some Gen Z sports fans, very good sports fans, and I asked them what did they think about the soft narrative that Gen Z gets. And they gave a response. I said, well, what would be your word to describe our generation? You know the word that they universally use? Bitter.
Yeah, you know what word I use to describe these newfangled kids? Soft.
Bitter. They use the word bitter. Like
they still bitter daddies over here.
Like no, look, and I'm not picking a fight.
They resonate with these players because with this new game, because the game is soft and they soft too. This the generation you can't even put belt the ass on because they're gonna call the police on you.
They use the word bitter. And the thing is,
this the generation that you can't reprimand them the way that we were reprimanded because they call it child abuse.
Now, the AP says the new kids love MJ shoes for $1 million. I mean, they'll buy the shoes, but they're not watching the games. They're not going back to YouTube and 90s games. They don't care about like the whole animus of the angst between the old school generation and the new school generation. My nephew Carter, I think he has an old soul, and he's been exposed to stuff from our era. Don't give a damn about no Michael Jordan.
I'm telling you right now, even when you ask
He don't care.
These people in the Dominican Republic. I go to some of the little basketball games down here they have. The majority of them are saying they play like Michael Jordan. And these are young kids. When I go to these games, these are, well, not young kids. They're young men between 20, 27 years old. They are emulating Michael Jordan and Steph Curry.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about LeBron versus MJ. We're talking about 90s basketball versus today's basketball.
I know.
My point that the 90s was only about Michael Jordan and not the totality of the product is all I'm saying.
But because it could be about Michael Jordan because the product was better. This product they're putting out here is shitty.
How many teams did you watch that weren't Bulls games in the 90s?
I watched the Pistons. I watched.
Wait a minute. You know the Bad Boy Pistons disbanded in 1992, right?
But I still watched the Pistons because that was my team, and whoever CBS Sports had on TV, that's who I watched. We didn't have all these extra outlets and all these apps and all this stuff to watch all these different basketball games. We got the Bulls shoved down our throats because they were winning just like now. Whoever's popular, that's who all of these channels are shoving down our throats. But when I would read the newspaper, because that's what we did in the 90s, I immediately went to the box scores of the Pistons because that's what I went to the Pistons and the Knicks.
So that's two teams. What's another one?
I mean, that's all we saw. Then when you saw the Magic start, but that's all we saw. It wasn't just always it was because they were winning and it was Michael Jordan. Now you have more players to watch, but that doesn't mean the game is better. That's because
these players are better than the players in the 90s.
They are not better.
They are not. Are the players today not more skilled than the players?
No, you're not saying box office for box office.
No. I'm talking about on the court talent.
People like Steph Curry, people like LeBron James, and people like KD. Those are the only ones that are transcending. You have local people who like Kyrie. You have locals who like a specific. Ant if Ant would act right, I would be on board with Ant. You got universal appeal is because Giannis is foreign. You're bringing foreign appeal. You have more people watching the game now, but the game is boring.
Who is okay? That's a personal opinion because the NBA has more followers and more traction on social media than the NFL does. So today's generation disagrees with that. I'm saying this is a 90s thing that you're projecting onto today's kids.
The whole point is, Paul, you are a LeBron James fan who, like them people said, is bitter because Michael Jordan transcends generations, and that's the key. See, this is the part that I'm trying to. I do not like to watch today's game. It is boring. I don't want to keep seeing people get the ball, pass it out, and shoot three-pointers. I don't want to see that. I want to see a Vince Carter dunk. I want to see an Alonzo Mourning actually play center.
This is the part that I think you're missing. This is the part that I think you're missing. Today's kids don't care about Michael Jordan. The Jordan narrative is being ran by old heads.
They care about Michael Jordan. They just don't care about the style of that play.
They don't care about Michael Jordan. They don't.
Are just as soft as the league. These kids don't want to get hit just like their favorite NBA player.
So, but Tasha, you're kind of leaning into the bitter argument.
As much as I hate old Pink Mouth, I like the way that he gonna get up in somebody's face. I hate Patrick Beverly, but I like the way he gonna knock somebody down. I like that.
Now, Denise says that's because parents make sure their child got the latest Jordans for style instead of getting them walking shoes so they can walk straight. Agreed. Right.
Okay,
Jamal Matthews is saying soft with a capital FT. Soft with a capital FT. We got good morning, Dre Dave. Soft. Now she's laughing. Mama's laughing. My mama didn't buy us Jordans, by the way. We had real shoes. Them cardboard cutout $200 shoes. He's saying Lakers. All right, so we're going Pistons, Knicks, Hornets, Rockets. Okay, that's 4 teams out of an expansion.
I mean, we did get the Rockets. We got the Rockets.
Now, Timothy says they're better athletes, but they aren't better at playing winning basketball. Timothy, if there 2 teams won NBA titles in the 90s, the Rockets and the Bulls.
but it was still exciting to watch.
It was not.
Even though one of them was when I was in basic training because with the OJ in the white Bronco, but still.
Who else was playing winning basketball in the 90s other than the Rockets and the Bulls?
I mean, you had the Jazz, they just couldn't beat the Bulls. You had the Phoenix.
That's not winning.
Beat the Bulls. Thank you.
The game is more boring now than it is then. And she said it's boring now. Only watch the end of the playoffs and to the finals. Like, I just wanted to just let everybody know that.
And Sasha
from my interactions,
just get that out there.
With my interactions with today's youth, they're not pushing the LeBron is better than MJ narrative. They're not even thinking about MJ. That's strictly coming from old heads. Like I'm just being,
y'all see he didn't look at them comments when about 5 or 6 people plus me said soft.
I mean, okay, well, y'all call them soft and they call y'all bitter. To that you say what? You're not bitter?
I just don't like today's game. It's boring because these.
I'm just saying, like everybody can call people names. I mean, like you call these kids soft.
They don't want to take a hit. This new generation is soft, and it's no reason in the world why LeBron James shouldn't be going to the whole more strong and as physical as he naturally is. I don't want to see LeBron James keep taking jump shots. I don't want to see that. I want to see LeBron James.
LeBron James has played 22 consecutive years at an elite level.
Nobody is saying he didn't.
He didn't quit in the middle of his career twice.
40 when he should be taking it outside. This is when he should be doing that. But these big ass physical players, that's why even John Morant ain't scared. John Morant gonna take that hit. He gonna drive to the hole and he's tiny.
Now Timothy says, as we'll wrap this, he says it's definitely not a skill-based game anymore, just calling it like I see it. I think it's the complete opposite. It is more skill-based and less physicality in today's game.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
The whole issue.
It is more skill because I will say it does take skill to actually shoot those 3 points. I just don't like the fact that you got big men out here not wanting to play center and not wanting and keep wanting to take it outside and shoot it instead of playing around the rim. I don't like that style of play. It is boring.
Tasha, do you agree with Shamika's last point? She said that's why he's still in the league because he plays outside. If the game was still physical, he would have retired 10 years ago.
If LeBron would have kept his weight, because he changed his whole physique for health reasons, which come on, LeBron, we all need to be doing that. LeBron's old body style could have taken the banging. I believe so.
All right. Appreciate you on that. And really, this was a case study to see if there was any weight to what Shannon Fry was saying. And I still see there's a lot of passion regarding 90s basketball just in the comments here. So like I get both sides. And the thing is, I love the basketball in the 90s. I loved it in the 2000s. I loved it in the 2010s. And I love it now in the 2020s. I've kind of evolved my expectations of the games with the changes, just like I have with football. But yeah, there's a lot of fiery comments. I think Shamika said that if I don't think that the MJ is the GOAT, she's going to discredit my acumen as a sports analyst, which okay. All right. But there's millions of people who disagree with that. All right. So while we got y'all's attention, I want to do a special rendition of Fair or Foul with Tasha T. Sizzle today. That is not sports related. So I'm sure many of you have seen this. It's been circling, making its rounds on social media this week, where a young lady posted a Twitter post that went viral, where she received $13,000 back on her income taxes. She sent the child's father $1,400. Tasha, okay, so she got $13K. She sent the child's father $1,400 through Cash App. The father of the child sent the money back with a note said, "Ain't enough." She made a screenshot of that conversation, posted it online, and asked, "Is he being ungrateful?" Tasha, this is multiple fair file scenarios, so let's go in chronological order.
Wait a minute. First of all, how she get $13,000 back? How many kids she claimed?
Right.
Let's just start there. And I didn't see this story.
I'm working 1,000 jobs. Yeah, I'm going to send you the link, and the comments were wild. So, Tasha, let's start here. Fair or foul sending the child's father $1,400 when you got $13K?
I mean, who has custody of the child? Obviously, she does because she claimed it. But why does she need to send him? What's the age? It's too many questions.
Now, let me get. I didn't post a picture of her, but she's a young lady. I would say she's in her early to mid 20s. Now, for the sake of this discussion, ladies and gentlemen, and Tasha, I'm assuming. I'm just using deductive reasoning here. I am assuming that the father must be somewhat present or plays a role in the child's life over the last year. Because if he hadn't, there's no way he gets a dime, let alone $1,400. So, with that being the premise.
That's making me. And how much you get per child? It's like 3,000 something. So I'm thinking, I'm with him because if you claim a child, I think what he said. Okay, you claim the child on the taxes.
Right.
I think with the child, is it child income earned credit or whatever?
You know, I don't know.
I think they get 3,000 per kid.
Now it could be multiple, right, Dre? She did.
Right.
And it
why even post that? Because see what's gonna happen now. The IRS finna start looking at your ass. Because ain't no way in hell nobody need to be getting $13K back in no damn taxes. What
not
kind
when
of
I work
job
my ass off every day and gotta pay taxes most of the time. That's just not fair. But go ahead, Tasha.
Nobody's getting $13K back. So what she gonna do is mess around. She gonna F around and find out. Because the IRS finna start looking into her.
Right. So is she filed for sending him only $14K, $1,400?
But if it's legit, yeah, she filed. If it's legit, because you get 3,000 per kid.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Now, Shamika, first of all, I apologize for hearing you wrong. I was under siege, and you know I love you. You know we Cowboys Nation. You know you know me and you must have one heart. So I do apologize. I want to put that out verbally for misquoting you. She has to have more than one kid, and for his kid, you get what wow.
Shamika, okay. she gotta be the little old woman in the shoe that has so many children she ain't know what to do to get $13K back. She getting all the food coupons, she getting all the welfare, and she working, and she getting $13K. No, IRS finna start investigating that ass. Now
she says, well, who said all the kids were his? That's another thing to consider. But my thinking is, and I'm just trying to connect the dots because a lot of the stuff we didn't have access to. And believe me, I did some digging yesterday and this morning to see if I can find some more backstory on this. I would assume, to Shamika's point, it's more than one child. And I would assume that if she sent him anything, they must have had a prearranged agreement that he would get something, meaning that he was at least the father or contributing throughout that year. Now, Tasha, part 2 of this fair file, would you have sent back that $1,400?
No, I would have kept that shit. I mean, is she some kind of oligarch? I want to know what she did to get $13K back. She must be one of Trump friends.
Well, all right. She's safe this year. Unfortunately, that agency is being laid off. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you did not hear this on the extra point, but if y'all gonna pull some extra credits out of y'all's ass, now's the time to do it because ain't nobody there to audit it. Go get yours. That's probably what she did. She's like, who says she has more than one child? If you get $13K for one child, Tasha, I'm about to send you one of them tubes. Can we keep it in a coolant? That's our birthday money right there.
Let me roll on out of this
Damon says, I hate taxes, but she could have a business. She could.
Well, what business is giving you back $13K?
Like, is this a PPP scam? Like, ain't
right, that's what it sounds like to me.
She used stuff to her advantage. Now, I think a lot of people are going to change their mind on him if he gives her the income tax. I'll never believe it until I see it. She the fool for telling anyone shit. That was the comment I was looking for.
I wouldn't have told her. So that's why I said the IRS, they go, okay.
It's one thing.
They're gonna be knocking on her damn door like Chris Hansen to them perverts to be trying to sleep.
No, Chris Hansen come out of the out from under the sink. Like he crawled out from the sink. Like so you like. Now Denise is being very intellectual about this conversation, and we appreciate that. She says taxes aren't just children.
But for somebody to get that kind of grip, she claiming everything down to the lint in her socks. From walking to
the pebble in her shoe.
She claiming everything. The rocks in the bottom of her own clouds.
But you know the IRS will swing that car back around and come get that money.
They sure will. Then they'll back it up like this.
She was a beautiful young lady. She looks like, I mean, she's definitely young. I'm not saying she was Chris Hansen young, so y'all get out of my mentions with that. But I'm saying she was a young, right. You know, Marion.
If y'all don't know what we're talking about, just Google Chris Hansen, please.
Now Marcus is a businessman. He's not just a businessman; he's a business
Man.
And he says, "Hey, all that tax is deductible. I'm gonna need more than that. Can you at least shoot me 5? Can we round it up? Can I get 35? Like one of the children? But at the end of the day, I'll send back ain't enough after I deposit that 1,400 in my account and make that do what it do. Tasha, who are you shouting out today?
Oh darn, I didn't get no shout outs.
Well, you ain't giving a shout out to the 90s era. You want to send a shout out to Yo Yo and
You
Queen
can't play
Latifah?
with the
Ladies, I want to give a shout out to the Goon Squad today for a very spirited conversation. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, y'all, I was just being a messenger today. I was just telling you what Shannon Frost said. I'm 90s all day long. Anybody who has access or wants access to my Spotify playlist, you will not find a rap or R&B song circa 2014 in there. I'm all about my Martin, my Living Single, my Cosby Show, my Pac, my Biggie, my Dre, my NWA. That's my era. I ride for that era. I love that era. I'm just saying the basketball was not as good as it is today, and that's okay. If Michael Jordan is your GOAT, that's okay. I have no issue with anybody saying that Michael Jordan is the greatest. The point that was being made from that conversation is it's okay for Michael Jordan to be your GOAT while still celebrating today's players for what it is. There's not even a and but. Like Michael Jordan is my favorite of all time. He's the best of all time. But I can rock with Luka. I can rock with John Moran. I can rock with Steph and KD. I can rock with them. They're not the greatest of all time, but that doesn't mean that they're trash. I just like Marcus used the illustration earlier of balance because these are still, to Tasha's credit, these are still our young brothers and the people who are carrying this mantle forward. Let's root these brothers on. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy job to do this in social media, especially when everybody's combing through your business and waiting in the weeds and bushes. These are young black men, and even for the European players, I'm sure it's not easy to do that under that kind of spotlight. So for you Jordan fans, it's all love right here. Jordan was the baddest man on the planet. I mean, he like if you don't have him in your top 2, then you're delusional. But if today's kids want to have it, we can just sit on the other side of the picnic table and just say, oh, okay, let them have that. Oh, by the way, I did see this. Shout out to Pearl Cone Girls. I saw this on Facebook.
Wait a minute. Why did Michael Harris say who was they playing? The School of the Blind? And I told him bye.
Mr. Matthews, you're quite dapper and debonair in that suit, my brother. Just want to tell you that. We want to send a birthday shout out to Auntie Treese. Saying that right?
Treese's birthday party is today, Paul. Darn.
Well, her birthday was Tuesday. I called.
But her party is tonight. You didn't get the memo?
Or the invite.
Hey, I'm going to have my rose gold on tonight.
Y'all got a FaceTime, my brother. Happy birthday.
You ain't got no iPhone.
Hey, y'all turn up for the kid. I don't drink like I used to drink. But I will do a virtual shot with y'all tonight. Shouts out to Martrice. Tasha, take us out of here. I'm exhausted.
You need to pull up Marcus's comment.
Wait a minute. What did he say? Which one?
What month it is? What month it is?
Oh, it's National Women's Month, isn't it?
No. It's almost that time of the year. It's almost Aries season, player. Marcus is a March Aries. I'm an April Aries. Is that you, player?
Well, happy birthday countdown. And to, like he said, the big 50, a lot of us are celebrating that milestone this year. And I'm celebrating all year with y'all. Stiana said, hey, we ready. Steve, what do you think about 100 to 1? Like, that's
right. Steve, you a lady firebird. Come on, Steve.
Hey, Steve, remember when you dropped 20 on Clarksville and Tiffany Woosley? You hit that corner 3 to get that 20.
Tiffany Woosley played for She didn't play for Clarksville.
She played for
Tiffany
Woosley did.
No, Tiffany Woosley did not. Now you
She
got to
played
make.
for Shelbyville.
Yeah, Shelbyville. That's what she
It was
played.
Shelbyville. If I said Clarksville, my apologies. It was Shelbyville that she does. She says, Huey says, hey. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we ran over today. Make sure you all catch Farrah on our take right now. She's probably already gotten started. I will jump over there and show some support. Until then, enjoy your March the 1st. Go Blue. We out of here. See y'all. We'll be on 2 weeks. We're off next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And we'll holler at you. Peace.